said so!
Okay, so, episode 7, let's get through this smorgasbord, yeah? The episode starts out in a flashback, event of the third episode told again, but from a different perspective. The perspective of the Jedi. Now, already they had me seated because I'm a big sucker for, you don't know the whole story yet, type beat. And I was ready to put on my detective hat to piece these things together. Instead, I got not a mystery solved, but the exact same goddamn thing, for the most part, rehashed in a way which didn't greatly alter the way in which I perceived the whole thing. But I digress. We are on the planet of Brendok due to a vergence in the Force, an object or thingy around which there is a particularly strong presence of the Force. Sort of like a nexus point, but for the Force, an anchor point, if you will. The planet should have been uninhabited due to a hyperspace disaster, High Republic tie-in, but instead appears to be fertile. Torben does not give a flying fuck about the exposition and says, fuck your cool planets, I wanna go home. Oh, Torben, you're a fucking idiot. Anyway, so they're collecting moss and shit, getting their mock Watney botany on, but Sol's like, I'ma head out, and does some solo scouting, and runs right into the twins from episode 3 in front of the pretty tree. Sometimes the planets in Star Wars feel less like a planet and more like a glorified playground. Bitches just be running into each other, but complaining about this is just honestly nitpicking. So we'll just chalk it up to another occasion of plot convenience. Yabby-dabby do be like that sometimes. Sol, seeing this, and the witch immediately calls up Indara to inform her, then follows the little girls back to their home in a non-predatory way. Well, sort of predatory. He is potentially trying to Jedi nap them. The door, however, is locked, so Sol decides to get his link on and scale the thing. He gets in with relatively little issue, pokes his head around the coven, and infers a whole bunch of shit about their culture and markings, and poor Lee Jung-jae. Bro is in over his head. He, at the very least, recognizes this and rushes back to report his findings from Squid Game. Sol believes them to be some sort of Force cult, or witches, but not Night Sisters as Torben suggests. After all, the Night Sisters don't birth two twin kitties. Sol manages to convince Indara to have them pay a home visit to the Space Witches. His fear clouds his judgment, as he believes the twins to be in danger. So they do, and Indara is rather clever with suggesting to go in alone. Why she didn't do that, I do not know. At the very least, just take Sol with you. Not a master, a knight, and a Padawan, and a Wookiee Jedi. It's the equivalent of a full D&D party rushing in. That's going to be taken as hostility. Regardless, they all go in anyways. I will quickly point out here that they reveal that this structure is an old mining station of some sort, used before the disaster that classed this planet as uninhabitable. But they didn't check this place first? I mean, mention it at all, or even expect it to be here. I feel like at the very least they should have been briefed on landmarks or structures of importance. If not, like, the thing is a bajillion miles tall. I swear you should have been able to see it while this... Whatever, man. Suspend your disbelief. You know this part. Torbs gets possessed. This time we do get to see Torb's perspective on it. It's sort of like a submission technique, if that makes sense. You make the dude on the receiving end perceive you as master, and by doing so you get him to submit. Poor Torbs, he wants to go home so badly that he easily gets folded by this submission trick. Anywho, they all fuck right off and agree to let the twins get tested. Twins get tested. May fails on purpose, but not without divulging a little bit of cultural information regarding the marking on her forehead and the purpose of the ritual. Osha comes in, and Indara feels like Sol is letting his desire for Osha to become his Padawan cloud his own judgment, manipulating Osha into wanting to come with him into the Jedi Order. I mean, not gonna lie, the Force baby clearly wants to be Jedi though, but she is way too old, so they let the Jedi Council decide. And what do you know? The Jedi make what the showrunners believe to be the right choice. Indara follows the Council, and the Council instructs them to not interfere in the lives and processes of this benign Force cult. Better to leave them to their ways. Contrary to everything the show, and indeed some critics argue, I believe this clears the Jedi of any accusation of doing the bad thing, which led to the witch's demise. It's the actions of the individuals, not the Jedi as a whole, which lead to the following events. Because clearly Indara, who is in control of her emotions and her mind as well as the Council, are keen to let seeming dogs lie. However, Torbs took a blood sample of the twins, revealing their nature. They have the same genetic makeup, identical even, as if they were being birthed as two via Force manipulation, but originally they were one. The midichlorian count of the twins are also very high. They deduce this must have been made possible by tapping into the vergence that they were looking for. Torbs decides, well, if you want proof of this vergence, bet. Let me kidnap the two birds of the thing and call it a day. You fucking clown. I mean, understandable, but god damn it, you got mind fucked and now you're fucking up the situation itself. Shit goes downhill from here for everyone. May is encouraged by that other witch lady to use her anger and stop her twin from leaving, so she says, okay, I'll kill her. There was, however, no explanation on how this stone structure spontaneously combusted, but I will suspend my disbelief and chalk it up to an electrical fire or something. Sol and Torbs arrive, and upon doing so find the gate locked again, so they scale the wall. Again, Indara cannot land the ship nearby because, you know, it's a mining quarry and there isn't exactly a parking spot, so she sends in Kelnaka first to de-escalate de-escalate the situation before a conflict begins. The witches see the ship and prepare for battle as they're already angry since they didn't want to give the twins away. So now we have our players in this conflict who all have their share of the blame. Sol and Torbs, the former whose judgment is clouded by his fear and mistrust of the witches but with noble intentions, and the latter who just wants to go home. Crucially, Sol is still hesitant with initiating open conflict. Conversely, we have the witches who, despite Anastaea's warnings, are prepared to use violence in order to keep the twins. Now, the peacemakers in this situation, or this conflict, are Indara, Kelnaka, and Anastaea. All three seek to avert the coming battle. So the two Jedi and the Coven meet with Anastaea in the middle. Torbs is eager to swing, but Sol holds him back. The witches are doing their usual saber rattling like a rattlesnake backed into a corner, and Sol asks how the twins were born because they, know that it wasn't a natural birth. As usual, between these two sides, communication is fucking ass, so they love speaking in cryptics and subliminals, so all Anastaea answers is,
"Someday those noble intentions you all have will destroy every Jedi in the galaxy."
Okay, so it would make more sense if she said, "Your noble intentions will one day get you Jedi into trouble," or something like that. But saying that those noble intentions will one day lead to the death of every Jedi in the galaxy is oddly specific, but alright. So May comes in screaming for help because there's a fire that shouldn't be able to spread, but it is spreading. And the witch in question, the one to the right, decides, do I want to help or do I want you to catch this fade? Put your hands up, fool! And Torbs does the exact same thing. Anastaea's reaction is to, rather than step in and de-escalate the situation verbally or physically or whatever, she decides to turn into a Dementor from Harry Potter and start to vaporize May? So now, imagine your Sol. These witches, who have previously mind-raped a Padawan, surround you. You're fearful for the safety of the twins. These bitches all around you, Torbin and the witches, are about to throw hands on your side and theirs. Big Witch starts to go all freaky and disintegrate, and then start her final form transformation. What would you do? What's the logical answer here to prevent any potentially life-threatening danger? Obviously, you shove a damn lightsaber in it and call it a day before it finishes transforming. That's my boy Lee Jung-jae! And then in a dying breath, she decides to be salty and says, "Man, why you kill me? I was finna let her go totally." And then she dies. Okay, now I'm gonna say real quick, Torbin is most definitely a practitioner of Form 5. Look at those spins, he is killing it. He's got the Anakin Skywalker worlds down to a T. And now I'm fucking upset that he killed himself. Like, he's actually got skills. The guy who swings it around the coolest in the show I've seen so far happens to be the one that kills himself first. I am pissed. Sol doesn't want to fight the witches after what just happened, and Torbs is just deflecting. So the bitches say, "Wahoo, bet let's all teleport away to hold hands and mind control the Wookiee Jedi who just arrived, and make him fight the Jedi." Fight is a little bit janky because the Wookiee is so big, but it's neat seeing him wreck house. Torbs gets his scars, and Indara finally arrives and disconnects the witches' Wi-Fi, so they all lose connection and die? Get knocked out? I don't know. Sol rushes off to get the twins and finds the witches still buffering and moves on to find the twins at the bridge. Now the bridge collapses, so Sol steps in to hold them up so the twins don't fall. I've heard that using the force to pick up a living creature requires more concentration to hold than picking up an inanimate object. So I'll use that as an excuse as to why he didn't just pick up the girl. Okay, and he drops it anyways and then catches her normally. Bruh. We have some serious execution issues in this show. On the ship, they agree to omit certain parts of the story to allow Sol to train the girl. Otherwise, Sol hands himself in, and no one would train Osha, meaning she loses not only her entire family, but then the one person willing to train her. And there we have the whole story. And then the end credits roll. What the fuck? Okay. Wait, no, Jesus, my ears. Cut! Stop! Hey, post-editing here. Did you know that 99.5% of you are not subscribed? Please can we get that number down just a little bit, or perhaps I'll start blasting the music again. Alright, let's talk about what this episode is trying to convey versus what it actually shows. The show attempts to illustrate that the Jedi are not perfect and that their actions can be misguided or wrong. However, due to poor execution, what we actually see are the Jedi making justifiable decisions given the circumstances presented to them. Osha clearly wants to be a Jedi, and Sol, despite his eagerness, is providing her with that opportunity. His intentions, while driven by personal desire and fear, ultimately align with Osha's own wishes. If the Jedi had not intervened, it's entirely plausible that May's action of lighting the entire building on fire could have resulted in Osha's death. The showrunners seem to aim for this morally grey narrative showing the flaws and failings of the Jedi Order, but the way the events unfold, the Jedi's actions are not necessarily wrong, but correct based on the information they had access to. Sol and Torb's interventions, despite their flaws, were aimed based on the information they had at protecting the twins, preventing further harm, and further investigating the Virgins. In essence, while the show tries to critique the Jedi, it inadvertently reinforces the idea that their presence and decisions are often justified and crucial for maintaining balance. The portrayal of the Jedi is deeply flawed, is undermined by their narrative choices. That makes their actions seem reasonable, and in many cases, the best possible options given the dire circumstances. Now, my main question here is how the fuck they're gonna try and tackle this mess and sort out all of these loose ends in one episode. I don't know why they thought it would be a good idea to do a big flashback episode directly before the finale. We need to see Kume's shtick, we need to see Osha potentially turning, God knows where the fuck May and Sola are going, and yeah, there is no way every question is getting answered. I mean, I bet you that they're banking on a second season. Anyway, I should promote here since there's like people here now. Follow me on Twitter, or don't, I don't know. Subscribe or I'll turn you into Dementor and vaporize you.